Okay, the town board meeting of October 12th, convene. Join me in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you read the roll, Madam Clerk?
Supervisor James Bass.
Here.
Councilman Lance Knapp.
Here.
Rose Anthony. Here. Anthony Cavone.
Here.
Vince Greco. Budget Officer Robert Lyman.
Here.
Highway Superintendent Ray Marshall.
Here. Can I have a motion concerning the minutes, please?
I make a motion that we dispense of the reading of the previous minutes and accept them as written.
I'll second it. Motion made and second. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Pass, Madam Clerk. Communication petitions. Notice received from the Oswego County Department of Public Works that effective October 10th, annual dump stickers and punch cards will no longer be available through the town clerk's office. These items will now be only sold at the transfer stations. A letter was received from the City of Fulton, Alderman John Lincoln, asking the town to support his opposition of the proposed installation of cellular one antenna on the Batavia Street water tower. He also included another packet concerning possible effects of electromagnetic fields. I have that here. It's a pretty extensive
We all
documentation they got.
Did you get one?
The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation informed the town that the remedial plan for capping the Columbia Mills site in Minetta was available for review at the Minetta Town Hall. Also, there will be an availability session on Tuesday, October 18th from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. to provide an opportunity for the public to meet with technical staff to discuss these plans. That is right in back of the area on Route 48, Columbia Mills in the village of Minetto. Received correspondence from Fran Sullivan, Assemblywoman Fran Sullivan sent to town regarding a recent request by a Granby resident for reduction in the speed limit and extension of the no passing zone on Route 48 north for 3/4 of a mile north of the city of Fulton. A letter was sent to the resident outlining the proper procedure for this request from the town standpoint. A letter was received from A.L. Lee Memorial Hospital asking the town to support its grant proposal to establish school-based health service in both the Fulton and Phoenix school districts. Town legislator Mr. Keeney sent a letter suggesting the town request inclusion in the economic development zone. And Mr. Fred Martin sent a letter to the town as well as a copy of a letter he sent to the New York State Office of Parks and Recreation and Historic Preservation regarding his concerns about the ownership of Bullhead Point and the direction of the Lake Nianawana Committee. And the New York State Department of Equalization advised the town of new state aid available to towns that opt for more efficient assessment administration through a consolidation of assessment services of 2 or more towns or cities. Anyone else have any other communication? None?
And the second one here, a letter was received from City of Fulton Alderman John Lincoln asking its support.
Mm-hmm.
I just got a call from Mr. Lincoln about an hour ago, and he couldn't make the meeting tonight. He'd like me to announce that there's a rumor around, well, he said it's true, that he looked into land in the town of Granby for this cellular.
He did?
Yes, he called Dave Seymour up to see if he had some land in the town of Granby for the cellular thing that they don't want in Fulton. But he just called me and he said he doesn't want to drop this in our backyard. If this was offensive to us, he wouldn't even have brought it up. He thinks he should put it somewhere where there are no houses and so forth, like in the woods. He did call Mr. Seymour to see if he had property behind the bowling alleys and the Oswego Bank. He'd like to apologize if there was any misunderstanding, but he just thinks that the cellular thing should go somewhere where there's not homes, or it should be like somewhere in the woods or someplace. and he'd like to apologize for this, and I am just telling you people of what he just called and asked me to bring up.
Well,
There is a rumor that he wants to dump it in Granby, and he'd like to apologize for this.
well, I don't know for the rumors, as much as he
Well, it's not a
stated,
rumor.
he stated
It's,
he
yes,
wanted to have it in
yeah,
Granby.
it is
okay.
true. He did call Dave Seymour up. Well, here where he says, he sends us a letter saying back him up. Well, we back him up, and then he's looking for property in Granby, and he's apologizing for this. And I am just
Okay.
telling you what he told
Shouldn't he
me.
have come to the council?
He's
or-
out of town.
Well-
He was going to leave
And
town.
asked first?
Well, the point of it is, he asked for a consideration by the town board in support of his issue on the cellular phone activity on Batavia Tower. And that's what his first letter said.
That's what I'm answering right here, what you
Yeah.
just read.
Right. The second letter he sends is to do with electromagnetic fields and their possible effect on human beings, and it gets into a pretty extensive volume of material. And he's talking about power lines, and he's talking about other things besides the cellular phones.
Well, I just passed this message on to the people and to the town board. He's just thinking that it should be in the woods somewheres away from homes and all that. And he'd like to apologize if it made any
Well-
hard feelings. He doesn't want any hard feelings with the town of Granby. He wants to work with the town of Granby. Yeah, it's coming.
Well, the other part of it is, I mean, you sit there in the substations that are feeding the city of Fulton, that are existing in town of Granby, and there's power sources that feed the city of Fulton that come through town of Granby, and there's a risk in everything, I suppose. But you
Well-
get into this a little bit, and it gets into something more.
I told him I would pass this message on to the town board and to the people, and I did it, okay?
I would think that if it's going to be an issue that town would be interested in, that we would take and look into it in some manner. I don't know exactly where placement this thing they're talking about is taking place, but
Volney didn't want this, did they?
If
Well, they
everything's
didn't
true
do it
about what
there.
they're saying, I wouldn't take two
Well-
witnesses to consider it no. If it's a health hazard to everybody else, why should Granby take it?
well, that's the point. I don't know exactly where the situation is with the city of Fulton, and so far, we haven't had any application to the town of Granby looking for placement of a cellular phone, so.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Under old business, we have letters from, in answer, response to the request for the Assessors Board of Review to the town of Granby Town Board. Please be advised, I would like to be considered for reappointment to the Granby Assessment Board of Review when term ends on 9/30/94. Bat Cook. Honorable Bess, Supervisor Town of Granby, member of the Town Board, have come to attention that there currently exists a vacancy in the Town of Granby Assessment Board of Review. And as vacancy, I would hereby request that you consider me as a candidate to the board. I feel that I have not only the time but the ability to serve in a non-partial and totally objective manner, weighing only the facts on paper presented. Your consideration of my candidacy is appreciated. Teresa A. Winkworth. Dear Supervisor Best, member of the Town Board, letters written to notify you of my interest in serving on the Town Board of Granby Assessment Review Board. I would like Town of Granby Board of Assessment Review. I would be a pleasure to personally be able to serve the resident of Granby as a member of this board. Please let me know what other information you may need in order to consider this position. Kathleen Pluff and Granby Town Board. Dear sir, I would like to be considered for a position on the Board of Assessment Review. I've had more than 5-year experience on that Granby board. I am now retired and have time in the spring and summer to devote to this job. I've worked with a couple of people who are still on the Board of Assessment Review, and I think I work amicably with them. Fanny B. Knapp. In relation to that, if the board has no objection, we have scheduled a work session for the 17th, and I would have an attempt made to have those people come in at 7 o'clock every 15 minutes. We do our budget after that, so we get them done by 8. There's any concern? Okay. Okay. I need a motion to re-advertise the assessor's vacancy. We haven't had any response to that.
I'll make a motion that we re-advertise the vacancy for assessor.
I second.
Motion made and seconded for re-advertising the assessor's vacancy. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Pass, Madam Clerk.
Jim?
Yeah.
Our next work session, when we do these interviews, what time did you want to start that? Or no?
I would think it's 7 o'clock, and then we get them done.
You can do that
Every,
tomorrow.
we do that.
Tomorrow night.
No, the 17th. We had to
Oh, the
schedule the
17th.
17th.
You're right, you're
We had to
right.
schedule the 17th. Tomorrow night we're gonna meet too, but
Yeah,
the
that's
thing on the
budget.
17th would, that would give me time to notify them if you people agreed. I just wanna make sure everybody's aware that we
Fine.
would do that, okay? Okay.
Will this be before the meeting?
Yep, before the
Session?
the work session. We'll just delay the work session to 8. Or if we get done with them quicker, we'll start right in the work session.
But you are gonna advertise again?
Oh, that's for assessors. This is for assessor review board,
Oh, I got you.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Last month we got in discussion on the motion on the assessor's fees for copies. And since then, we adopted a schedule of several different prices on different things. Since then, the company that requested the information have sent us a letter, and since this is a letter from Land Data Associates to the town clerk. Since all items requested were done so pursuant to Freedom of Information, the price charge is also regulated by those same Freedom of Information statutes. With regard to the fees that the town may oppose under the Freedom of Information Law, Sections 87(1)(b)(section 3 provides that an agency may only charge the actual cost of reproduction for records that can be photocopied, such as computer files involved in this request. Further regulation promulgated by the Committee of Open Government, which has the force of law, state and relevant part of that fee for such records. State and relevant part that the fee for such records, quote, shall not exceed the actual reproduction cost, which is the average unit cost for copying a record, excluding fixed costs of the agency, such as operator salaries. You can't charge the salary of the operator. Land Data would be glad to reimburse the town for such actual cost by reproducing a computer disk copy of the RPS files as provided by the regulation. Would you kindly review this letter with the town attorney and get back to you and advise price cuts more in line with FOIL. They was in charge of made by school of $25, hastened by $25 in Richland at no price, at no charge. And I discussed with Wally, and Mr. Ozer has reviewed this, and it's New York Code 1401BC3 that we're dealing with. And he told me that that is, whether we appreciate it or not, that is the law. The state law says you will reproduce at a reasonable fees. And it doesn't make any difference if it's going to be the data on 2,500 parcels or not. That the fee would be established, whatever fee you want to charge would be a reasonable cost for the copying that record.
When we set this up before, did we do it? We didn't do it by resolution, did
No, we did it by motion. And the problem I have is, no matter what we do, is that we have a state law that requires us to take and do copying on that, under the information law, at a reasonable fee. So it looks like that under his advice that this wouldn't be a proper charge for that ditch. No matter what charge you give them, that would be higher than what we could charge.
Yeah.
So what we have is a 25-cent copy for material anyway. We could take and adjust that. I think we can do it in-house on what this is. But I think we need to rescind this item because of some reason that it puts us in a situation we don't have a legal position.
I move that we rescind our previous
Fee schedule.
fee schedule.
Yeah. As of
I can't
that
remember
was
what date we did that.
September. Let's
Last
see.
meeting,
Yeah, it would be
14th.
September 14th. Yep.
Okay.
Probably, you have a generic fee schedule there?
Pardon?
I mean, once we rescind this one, we have to.
Well, I wouldn't. I think we could follow the
State guidelines?
just follow the fact that the school was charged $25, Hastings charged $25. What they're going to do is send us a disc, and you're going to copy it off.
And those are probably state guidelines for those fees, am I right?
Yeah.
You're deciding what.
But anyway, what I was going to say is that we rescind this item here, and we'll take and play it by ear on $25. They're willing to pay that, so I don't know how else we get out of it.
So we don't need another motion to
No,
get a
because
new fee schedule?
what number?
Because it's already laid
Yeah.
down for us right there.
Okay, so motion made to rescind the fee schedule adopted on September 14th. Everybody second to it?
Yeah, I'll second.
You have a second to it? Any other discussion? Everybody understands it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed, Madam Clerk. The second thing we had in the discussion last week, we weren't taking any action on, but after reconsideration by the tax collector, she decided that the second tax notice going out, there'll be a need to make the mailing, and the county has changed their procedure in terms of the time that she will turn in her warrant when she collects the monies, the abstract. And it'll be 2 weeks after the final day of payment, which is April. Before that, she used to carry that along. She might be the 20th of April or something like that. And anybody paid at that time, she wouldn't charge them a late fee. So she didn't have to worry about it. But we're going to charge, we would take and be in a situation under the section of law that's new, that we can charge $1 for providing for the expense of mailing the notices of people who have failed to pay their taxes as her date to send in the warrant or the abstract that she has to pay on. We have a resolution on that to councilperson would move the following resolution be adopted providing for expense for mailed notice of unpaid real property taxes for each parcel at $1 per parcel. And if it's second, had in following discussion of proposal, supervisor instructed the town clerk to call the roll. The circumstances is we would take and get $1 penalty for that, and it would cover the cost of that mailing. I talked to Jeannie the other day, and she reconsidered where she was standing on that, so the board's choice.
I'll resolve that we resolve that we provide expense for mailed notice of unpaid real property taxes for each parcel at $1 per parcel.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Have a second to that?
I'll second it.
Everybody understand that the, where you get it is, we should be advising people that if she doesn't get paid for some reason, she'll be evaluating, but if she doesn't get paid and she sends them the notice, she would charge them $1 penalty for that service. And I would suspect that'll be printed on the tax bill. Any other discussion?
Is it legal to do it?
Yes, I checked it out, yeah. Nope, it's part of the new regulations adopted in the chapter 600 of the rules that pertain to the assessors, or the tax collectors.
Second notice fee right now. We do a second notice fee of $1.
Do you send more than 2 notices?
No.
You send the original notice and then
Unpaid,
March,
for the
was it?
unpaid,
Yeah,
yeah,
for the unpaid, you send a second notice, and there's a $1 fee attached to that.
In the town, that would be the town's fee.
Yeah.
We keep that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This would go in the general fund?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the monies that received by the tax collector there used for the abstract are put in the general fund.
And there's
Interest and all.
approximately between 400 and 500. I mean, the last couple of years, there's been approximately 400 to 500 second notices that have gone out for you.
Okay. Have the roll call, Madam Clerk. Another discussion? Have the roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Knapp,
Aye.
Rose Anthony.
Aye.
Uh,
Jim?
Jim,
Mr. Best?
Mr. Best,
Okay, aye.
Mr. Cavone.
Yes, aye.
Okay,
Mr. Greco is absent. Okay. On the property of Ireland Hoffman Road, we have a letter from the Shanley's Law Office requesting a indication what the town wants with, according to the town's wishes for a deed for the property that of the highway adjacent to the town. We've advised them to give us a abstract of title and the dimensions that we agreed to, which is 12 by 575 feet. And just for information on that, we haven't received it yet. They're still working on that. Last month, we took and did a waiver on youth services, and by use of the minutes and the information we have, we discussed it, but we didn't vote on it, and we should take and do that. This is, I refer to the letter of August 26th. The town of Granby is eligible up to $2,500 in youth state aid for youth services. These funds are similar to wide youth state aid you receive for youth recreation programs, but must be used toward youth service program as opposed to a recreation program. The funds must be matched dollar for dollar with local funds. Historically, the town of Granby had not used these funds, so they are turned over to Oswego County to allocate for countywide youth services. I recently had a meeting with Michael Stafford, chief of the Fulton Police Department. Chief Stafford looking for ways to fund the DARE program and Stranger Danger program. City of Fulton will spend approximately $14,000 of these two programs in 1995. They will apply $4,230 in their funds, use service state aid to help offset these costs. Because these programs serve children from the Granby area, I'm ready to see if you would want to waive your youth service state aid to the City of Fulton to put towards these programs. This would not cost the town of Granby any additional fund, but would allow you to help support these programs which serve the children of Fulton City School District. And we talked about this and we signed the waiver effective to do that, but in the review of the minutes, we failed to take and vote on the decision. We all seemed to agree that it was going to be okay, but we didn't have the vote on it, as it turned out. So I would request a vote to, a motion to waive the youth department's youth service funds for the town of Granby, which is $2,525 for 1995.
It's just reverting it back to the county.
Yep. I have a motion on that.
They're not gonna go to the Fulton School District?
Yes, they will. The monies will be used there, but just the idea, we haven't used them, they've always used them someplace. But now they want to document them to go to that program for DARE and stranger danger programs.
In other words, they still spend the money regardless, right?
Oh, yeah. Well,
It goes to another town or something?
well, it's going to go to the Fulton School District.
It doesn't, it goes back, Tony, doesn't it? We
Well,
don't
they use it anyway. We never used it as a item. We don't have a youth service program in the town. So we never used it, and the county just used it. The funding situation was that we could provide this money for the police department's DARE program and their stranger program, and stranger danger program.
In other words, they wouldn't ask us anymore for a contribution?
Yes, that's what it, well, the contribution, see this,
It's allocated funds.
it's, yeah, and the funds, I was trying to get it from Neighborhood Initiative Program, and the Neighborhood Initiative Program would reduce down from the $400,000, they're gonna get to $125,000 or $150,000. And the Youth Bureau come up with this method to fund that part of the program. So the amount of money we'd be putting forth is money we wouldn't normally use, because we wouldn't make application for, and we wouldn't match it. Okay? The $14,000 the city of Fulton's gonna spend, we'll use this money for matching funds.
This is going up to that this year.
I move that we sign the waiver,
Okay,
revert the money back to the county.
have a second to it?
I second that.
Motion made, second, other discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye. It's not costing us anything, Tony.
Well, aye?
Aye.
Okay, cast, Madam Clerk. New business. Unless somebody else has some other old business. Review of proposed investment policy. We in the town in January 1994, I signed an agreement with Marine Midland Bank for a custody agreement with each depository, a security and custody agreement with each depository, also an investment policy. And we thought we signed an investment policy document here. Actually, what it was a security and custody agreement for each deposit. We put the money in CDs in the Marine Midland Bank, and they have to have collateral somewhere supporting the CDs we put in. We put in 200,000, 300,000. They have to document some security someplace to support that money while they have it in their hands. Well, when we passed that, I thought, and we were thinking we had done what we had to do, but the auditors advised me the other day that that wasn't a investment and deposit policy and procedure. Now, what we do in what we've always done is deposit our money in certificates of deposits. We usually do, we usually put them in for 30 days at a time, unless there's some reason we have to have them less. We don't ever do them more than 60 days at any time, but normally 30 days, 'cause we have to have money fluid. We don't have the benefit of having money available to us until sometime in We get some money in January, last part of January, first part of February, and then we get some more money in, from the taxes that are collected in April. So we don't, from April to this period of time, we spend from that money, so we don't have more than $150,000, $200,000 in general funds that are in CDs at any one time, and we don't have more than $200,000 or $300,000 that are in highway funds at any one time. But we don't have, with this agreement with the Marine Midland Bank, we don't have the investment deposit policy and procedure. The policy you have in your hand is what we would get into, and what I would say is, you look at that, I have no problem with it personally, but it just provides our ability to put money in the CDs, and the state requires you to do that. There is one thing in here: the person responsible for day-to-day activities of the cash investments must annually take at least one vacation of 5 consecutive business days, and the day-to-day investment activities will be carried out by another member of the finance department. So in reality, that's the supervisor takes and puts the money in the bank, and we do that through Kathy and I calling the bank and make an arrangement with that. If Kathy takes a 5-day vacation, she does that, but we aren't particularly looking at our budget items because we keep a pretty good handle on the dollars that's in the bank anyway. But it provides us with an opportunity to review it. So I would take and ask you to take and consider this thing, and then we will meet again, and when you better understand it, discuss it and vote upon it.
If we don't agree to this, we have to change banks, am I right?
No. We have to have it. All it says is, what we're really saying is, do we put our money in CDs, and if we do, good. If we put our monies in money markets accounts, we have to be responsible for the fact that the town board is responsible for the monies. If we raise $500,000 to run the town highway department, that would be the number, they will spend $500,000 if you spend it that year. There's no doubt where the money's coming from. If we lose the money in a money market fund by $100,000, somebody here on the board is going to make up the $100,000. Or the investment officer is going to make up the $100,000.
Sounds like a simple decision to me.
Yeah, I know. I know. Well, I just say it really, what we're looking at is, there's nothing particularly wrong except the state says you're going to do that, and we thought we covered it on January 4th, or January 7th, 1994, because we signed the agreement with Marine Midland, and that's really what we did. You can take actions on it if you want to. It doesn't make any difference. All we do is we have monies in savings accounts at Marine Midland and CDs and checking accounts, of course. And as far as the audit is concerned, we just got to have something on file. We did it. That's all.
Is that document something the state prepared, or you got it from Midland?
This comes from Marine Midland. Yeah, this is a sample of what you can do. Okay, it was, that's why it got confusing, because we thought we covered it when we did this other. Okay? That's all.
All this does is just, once we sign it, it just means that we are responsible for any loss of investment.
Well, what you're saying is the town board is saying that the monies that we can put them any place we want, but that the town board has a policy that says you're going to do such and such. We put them in the CDs and Marine Midland. If there was something else happening, the town supervisor has the discretion, based on resolution by the town board, to use money to raise money and make more interest on it. The risk is making sure you don't lose any.
Years ago, you could basically keep funds in the checking and savings. Then they changed, towns could invest in CDs.
Yeah.
Apparently now, and maybe several years ago, they opted out, so you can invest in whatever, but some of the whatever can be risky. And now what this is saying is the town board's responsible, not the lending institution.
Right.
Well, one of the things we have is we have about $30,000, something like that, $35,000 invested in CDs for the solid waste, the Silk Road solid waste facility, okay? Well, that's where it is, that we make our money off that, okay? Or it's in savings, whatever. But the point was, we make our money on. We could take that money, we know that's not gonna be, presumably not payable for 6 years. We could take and say, we wanna put that money into something for 2
Right.
years. The risk is if all of a sudden the county, who we have an agreement with, and EPA, we have an agreement with, called for that money, we'd have to put the money up now.
And-
Okay, so we wouldn't tie it up that long.
All this document is just, it's just holding us responsible.
Yes.
I mean, that's, it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
No,
Why,
okay.
do we,
They can, if you feel comfortable with.
In other
with-
words, we're not supposed to be in the investment business, is that?
No, 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 no.
What this does, it holds us responsible rather
Yeah,
than
for
the
any
bank.
losses,
For
right?
any
Yeah.
losses.
Yeah,
of
I
investment.
know.
Yeah.
In other words, we're not supposed to be investing in any risky business.
Yeah, yeah. If
For
we bought-
investments.
If we bought some stocks, did
Yeah.
something that went down, the members of the town board and the supervisor are responsible for it.
Hold it till a later meeting?
Yeah, I would take it, and just look it over and we'll take it.
Can
Go
I
with it.
ask a question? We've had that $30,000 for the silk cleanup, Silk
Mhm.
Road dump, right?
Mhm.
Or whatever you wanna call it,
Landfill,
disposal
yeah.
plant, landfill.
It's more than that now.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. How can they say they're still gonna do something with it when isn't that little micro rod being built on the city dump? Or landfill or whatever you call
No.
it? Is
No.
It
being,
isn't on the landfill.
It's on this side of it.
But
it's on that side?
that
That
has,
has nothing to do
it
with.
had nothing to do with, it had nothing to do
Where
with
we've got a,
no.
they're
The
going to
EPA
test.
No, the EPA activity we're involved with is on the Silk Road property. That's ours. The property that Mike goes on is the county airport. There is a difference.
It's across the road or near there someplace?
It's across the road from it, but it's not on the property that was part of the Silk Road
Because I
landfill.
went by it the other day, I thought it was right on the landfill.
Jim, let me ask you something. This could go on for years,
What's
right?
that? The
There,
Silk Road?
yeah.
Yeah. But our contract calls for us to take and pay for 6 years at 10,600. And we have 60-some thousand dollars we'll take and be responsible for with the county, it saves the town from any activity, the county would have to pick up the balance. On the initial evaluation of the site. If there's something else beyond that, then the town would be responsible for some extra costs. Okay. But
But
We
isn't
did-
there a time period? This could go on
it can go on for,
forever, right?
yeah.
Well, it was a 6-year plan, started in
Money.
1991. And
In other
we're
words,
in-
when the 6 years is
well,
up,
Next year will be in the 5th year.
and after the 6th year,
The money's in escrow until such, we just
Right.
invest the money, do we want with it until
Until we hear from the
hear
county
from-
or
somebody makes a decision.
DEC.
But if they do something with that, if the,
yeah, I know, we gotta come up with the money.
No,
okay,
well,
no,
that part,
we've
no.
already got it.
Yeah.
Because
That's what
that
I
was part
mean,
of
yeah.
the 6-year plan.
Yeah.
We put that money down and that's the end of it.
That part
we're
of
not
it,
responsible
Well, how
for
much
any-
money did we have to put up?
$106,000.
How much have we got in the account?
no, no,
We,
it was a
our
64,000,
share of this whole
64,000.
study, which started in 1991, is $62,500.
How much have we got in the account?
We've raised 10,417 for 4 years.
So you got
Next year will be the 5th year.
51.
95,
41,000.
96 will be the 6th year. Hopefully by that time, the county will make up their mind as to whether they're still gonna do the study. This is just for a new study.
Yeah.
Any remediation that comes out of that thing, if they find toxic waste up there, you're talking millions
Yeah,
to
but
clean
the-
it up.
but the original
right now, it's
agreement-
just a study.
No, the way I remember it from the original 1991 agreement, once we paid that amount of money, then the county would take care of the rest, and that included
That was
cleanup.
just for the
For
study,
the study, but
Just
the
for the
remedial
just for the
work,
study.
okay, that's a different issue. We haven't got to that. But the point, we're, after the $64,000 contract with them, we're not responsible for any more as a town of Granby. We may be as residents of the town of Granby because the county would have to pick up the difference. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, in the session of legislature in 1994, the state legislature come up with an amendment to the Veterans Eligible Funds Exemption Law. And in a nutshell, the law would have to be passed by September 30th, 1994. We've had some conversation with members of the veterans groups. We've had conversation with I've had conversation, I'll put it that way. I've talked with some of the veterans groups, and I've also talked with some of the people from the state, the county Board of Assessors, Real Property Office, not Board of State, the Board, Spotsylvania County Board of Real Property. Okay, Real Property Office. Anyway, what it amounts to is they made a amendment in Chapter 410 of the Law of 1994 and gives local government authority to extend the eligible fund property tax exemption. And this was in result of the revaluations that took place, and at that time people were asked to either stay at the program they had or go into the Veterans Eligible Fund exemptions, which gives them 25% and some other percentages based on disability and so on. But the activity that had to take place by September 30th, 1994, which was a difficult thing for me to realize. I didn't understand that deadline had to be done at that point. Mr. Rookie is here, I think, and we talked about it a couple of weeks ago or whatever, and at that time I thought that the thing was for 1995's tax rolls. It would be for not the tax of 95, but the tax roll of 95. So we didn't have the opportunity to meet and adopt a local law, which is 10-day notice of the law. You have to develop a law on 10-day notice, public hearing, and then have the board decide whether they wanted to adopt the exemption for 1994's tax roll, which would be effective January 95. As I understand it, the September 30th date was a date that had to be met, and we didn't make it. You didn't have it on the floor to take and consider. I had talked with a couple people, but didn't realize that was the date that it had to be in by. I don't know exactly the date the law was passed. It was done in the closing session of the legislators' meeting, and whatever happened, it didn't become a thing in my attention until probably the second week of September that we got some information or some people talking to me about it. But if the town board desires, we can put this on the agenda for the make up the law and put it on the agenda for November for the 1995 roll, and that would take effect in 96 on county property and town property. It wouldn't do anything on school tax properties that are assessed.
Before we do that, we need a better understanding of it.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would take and provide you with that. I have no problem with that. It's just that I don't know exactly when this was adopted, but I know it was adopted in the session. Veterans got letters to the fact it was adopted, and really, I'm not clear as to what percentage we would have in the town that would be affected, nor am I clear as to what percentage of the exemption would be involved. We should have an understanding of that before we go on. So I don't have any other activity on that other than the fact that we can propose and have something for the board to look at for the 1996 property taxes. It won't be effective until then, if we do pass it. it would have an effect on the total exemptions in the town. The dollars would be exempt in the town in the future because of some you're taking more property off the tax roll, whatever percentage it would be. Okay? Does anybody else have any other item that they, under new business? If there's not, I'll take any other reports of committees. We have a report from the Environmental Conservation Department concerning state hazardous waste sites and remedial plans, and the remedial action report for 93-94. That's available at town here. Anybody wants to look at it, there's copies of it. Planning board, I don't see anybody from the planning board there particularly, but we have a report for September 13th. That September 6th regular monthly meeting, Earl Hoffman appeared before the board to discuss his County Route 8 subdivision plan, and a public hearing date was set for Tuesday, September 27th. Town of Granby Planning Board has recommended Snug Harbor Estates on Route 48 for a possible award at the upcoming Seward County Planning Board annual seminars and dinner on September 29th. The October 10th, the planning board has been working on the Hoffman Heights subdivision on County Route 8, completing the secret review and has given the conditional approval. The board also discussed the final revision of the mining ordinance, which the steering committee recently completed and is currently being reviewed by Wally Osler. ZBA, I talked with the secretary of the ZBA today. She has forwarded all the applications on the renewals for mining to the county for their review, and once she gets that back, she'll establish the hearing date. Zoning officer, building inspector, Steve, I know you're here someplace. You want to come forward, Steve?
Number of building permits issued for August and September were 24. The revenues collected for those permits was $1,670. We issued 3 certificates of occupancy. There were 2 violation notices written and 16 inspections performed.
Okay.
Jim, can I ask
Yeah.
Steve a question? Steve, I got a few phone calls this week about people complaining about these signs up for candidates. Now, don't we have an ordinance that says they can't be up at a certain time? Does the law apply to everyone? I know when I ran, I put them up the night before, and they wanted to send me up for a vacation up the Oswego River. Does the law only apply to certain people?
No, it applies to everybody.
Well, why isn't it enforced?
This is the first I've heard of it, to be honest with you.
I mean, I don't care, personally. I'm just telling you what happened to me.
I
And
didn't
why
get a
why
call.
we single out just certain people in this town and other people can do things.
Yeah,
Okay.
Will you take care of it?
I'll have some details about where the signs are.
Okay. Any other reports, Steve? Dog control officer, we have for the September, number of complaints is 37, number of dogs picked up is 10, number of dogs destroyed or died 0, number of dogs released 5, number of dogs on hand 12, monthly expenses food is $65.94, supply $199, vets of $10 and ads of $10.25, monthly mileage is 668 miles, and impoundment fees collected is 20. Okay. Assessors, Ray Holtz here. I know Brenda's in school. Brenda's here. Where's Brenda? Oh, Brenda, how you doing? I didn't know you were back there. I didn't see you. Brenda, have anything to report other than having a good time?
Well, that's left to be said. Number one, I would like to make a comment about the land data
Yeah.
information that you just still want to make it known that I am totally against handing over the inventory of our town for little or nothing. And nowhere in the letter did they tell you how many towns have refused totally to give them their information.
Well, that may be, we haven't done the other part, we just took care of the motion on that. Okay.
Right. I didn't know if you wanted to bring up anything that we discussed at the work session tonight or not.
I'm trying to,
I can remember
No,
one
no.
thing we talked
on
about, but
my
I can't remember.
agenda, oh, you mean about the Naga Mohawk and that stuff?
Right.
No, I didn't have it on the agenda because we're gonna have to get our ducks in a row. And I suspect if you've got anything that you found out from your trip, we discuss that, tomorrow.
Okay. Other than that, I have been attending the New York State Assessors Association conference in the Concord for the past 4 days. I got home at 4:30 this afternoon. Attended numerous classes, learned a lot of upcoming information, a lot of new legislation that's going to be coming, that's going to have a major impact on the office. And I've got notes on that. We'll be getting back up to give to the board at a later date. Other than that, plugging along.
Okay, Brenda, thank you. Let's see. How do I get that in there ahead of time? Historian Cemetery, they've got a program down the Fulton Bank right now that the town historian's involved with. Archives Week, they've got a representation down there by the town. If anybody would like to go down there, they can see it till the 15th, I guess. Building administration, Lance.
The heating and air conditioning system should be in and done and tested today, or they were planning on testing the whole thing this afternoon, so it should be done either today or tomorrow. I did authorize one extra over there when they were up in the ceiling pulling wire for the new unit. They found, when the water heater kicked on, it vented right into the attic, right into the ceiling.
It did?
Yeah, it doesn't go through the roof. So I told them to go ahead and put it right through the roof. So
Yeah.
when the bill comes through, you will see that as an extra.
But that
If
should
you're well
be-
already in there, let them
Yeah.
go ahead and put it through the
Yeah,
roof.
it should be that, it can't be that way.
No, it can't. That's why I authorized him to do it.
Don't tell the building inspector.
That's all I have.
Yeah, okay. Senior citizen rose.
Oh, I've got a lot on that. When we sit here and we talk about, we've got money we don't know where to put, like the youth program, you just put it to the dare and all. Now, as you told us, there's no more funds for the seniors citizen clubs. So I went to see Fran Sullivan, and I'm very happy, but someone said it's election year and they'd give you the moon. They promise you the moon, but I really think this lady will help me. It said, "Dear Mr. Anthony, to confirm the recent conversation you had with my office regarding funding for the Town of Granby Senior Citizens Club, the 95 fiscal year state budget includes an appropriation of $225,000 for the Congregate Service Initiative. As you are aware, this program replaces the recreation program for the elderly, which had been included in previous budgets. I wanted to let you know that I have discussed your inquiry with Congressman McHugh and have requested the assistance of his office in investigating potential federal funding for the Town of Granby senior citizens. The Congressman's aide, Jack Call, indicated that in order to further explore funding resources, it would be helpful if you would outline the club's activities and send it to his attention at the Cannon office building in Washington, D.C. As we approach the next budget cycle, please be assured I will make every effort to restore state funding for the programs for the elderly. In the meantime, I will continue to work with state agencies who administer funding programs which may be helpful and will certain to keep you appraised of any progress that is made in this regard. As always, I look forward to our continued work together on this and other matters. Francis Sullivan. Now, I got all the activities of the Granby senior citizens. Fern Anthony gave me the whole packet. I put it together and I sent it to Washington hopefully, that the seniors in Granby, the Senior Citizens Club, will get more than $400 a year. They don't even get that. They get nothing now. I went up to Volney and I checked. Volney gives their seniors $4,000. Scriba gets $11,000. Here we give $450 in Granby, and we can't even get that equal with the state, $450. What is $450 from this state? So I wrote Mario Como, I wrote Washington, and these people can't even pay their school taxes here in Granby, 60, 70, 80-year-old people. This little enjoyment, Tony, this little enjoyment they love. And I have to keep fighting for these old people. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
I hope I succeed in something.
I just signed a bill in there for $450
Yeah,
for seniors.
that's us. But the state has cut out everything. And yeah, you could pick the paper up and say the legislators are spending our money, the state legislators are throwing away our money, and they can't take care of our old people here. Don't give me that, Tony.
They
Well.
spent it all on one trip.
$450. You know what? $4,000 in Volney. And when someone told me that yesterday, I said, holy crap. Our seniors, if they got $500, they'd die and think they were reborn for $500.
Rosie, can I ask you something?
Jesus.
Hey,
Jim,
go ahead.
I know Rosie's concerned about taxes and everything.
Oh, I'm concerned about everything.
And I want to make a motion right now that we freeze all wages and all spending in this town in the next fiscal year. Let's see where your heart is. I want to make that motion.
You're the first one to come up for a raise on this town board this year, Tony.
Look,
Hold it. Before you go to discussion, you gotta have a second to the motion. Is anybody gonna second the motion to freeze all wages in the town and expenditures? Is there a second to it? There's no second to it. For lack of a motion.
I just
it's not
wanted
a
to see where their
discussion.
heart was.
I'm talking about the
Okay.
state.
hold-
Well, I just wondering, you know, I know you want to help
Uh,
people, they have a hard time paying their taxes.
Youth and recreation. Tony? you have-
Yes.
You have
I
a-
did go over Saturday and see our program, and a lot of kids were there. And they were having a ball, and it looked like they were all enjoying it, so the supervision was good. I thought the program was well taken care of.
Okay, hang on just a second. here. What happened here? Something's not in my packet. Should do it on. I'm gonna revert back to new business because I see it on my agenda here for under new business, and it got hung up over. I looked at the eligible funds here in the investment policy. Under the county youth bureau matching funds for 1995, a motion to request the county to match your expenditures for your swimming gym program is necessary. We got $995 invested in this year's package. If we take and move to request the county youth bureau to provide us matching funds for the 1995 youth program, then you could spend the $995 plus another $995. You could have 2 sessions if you wanted.
Again, why
Well, I
can't
mean,
the
that's
old people
because-
get help like the kids?
Well, because of some reason, the government, the state of New
I
York has
am
said there's only
again
225,000.
I am again saying it, Tony. There,
You'd have seconded my motion if you were concerned about people.
Wait a minute, I'm questioning this. A request to take and
I'd like to
fund
see that.
matching
I would
funds.
like to see that.
Okay, can I have a motion from the board to request the funding of $1,000 from state matching funds to match the $1,000 the town is going to use in Youth Bureau 1995?
I'll make that motion.
you're doubling it up.
Well, it's $995. You would get 2 sessions, or you can, if you want to reduce it down, but you should at least put it in the
Yeah.
if you don't spend the money, you don't use it, that's all.
I'll second the motion.
Okay? Motion made and seconded to request matching funds of $1,000 for $1,000 of town funds for youth recreation. Any other discussion? Any other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I oppose.
Okay, one opposed.
You're doubling something and you can't give someplace else.
Okay. You got that, Madam Clerk? One nay. Okay. Highway Superintendent.
Yes, at the last meeting, when we were discussing signing that agreement with the county, and there was some question whether they were gonna cut back on the salt or whatever, I just want to tell you that they did give us a little more salt than they gave us last year. I think we had 434 ton last year, and this year was 475 ton. So they did come through the same program that we had.
Okay.
That's about all. We're working on that now.
Bree, are you gonna pave any more roads this year? No.
We have to seal the part of Honey Hill that we did, which we hope to do tomorrow. But that's it.
Mhm.
That's all I did, Jim.
Okay.
First to stop us again.
We got some sign money left over from, just not gonna use it, right?
Plan record.
Yeah.
Ray, I told Mrs. McCarthy you went down over
Okay.
the sign.
Okay, Budget Officer.
You want one for Vince, or you want me to stick it in his box?
Are you sticking it back?
I'll stick it in the box. Yeah, this is a statement of balances as of October 9th. Includes last month's contractual. And again, there's no need to discuss salaries. They're gonna come down to zero as of the end of December, so I'll just talk about the numbers that I've picked up as far as contractual account is concerned. In the general fund, the attorney is down to just over $800. We've had several activities for him this year, and so if he needs, if there are any more expenditure, such as might be in tonight's abstract, then we're gonna have to transfer from contingent to cover that. Let's see, elections, Board of Assessment Review, I believe they've finished meetings, but again, because their activity, their contractual was gone to zero. In buildings, we've got about 22,000. Hopefully that will see us through to the end of the year. Contingent account is down to just over $1,600, so I will be monitoring October, November, December, just to make sure that no account goes negative. Let's see. Okay, we've paid the Hannibal Joint Youth Project, that's been paid, so that account is at zero, which is normal. Yeah.
The buildings, we got, original appropriation was 60.
And then we kept the $800 for the fireproof cabinet
Okay.
for the town clerk, which they haven't bought yet. That's been an ongoing thing for 3 years. Historian is down to just over $18, his contractual. Zoning Board of Appeals, they've had several meetings this year. They are all contractual, they have only $110 left. Quite obviously, if they meet again, we'll probably overrun that. Building inspector is at zero. State retirement for both general and highway. I've talked to Jim about this. We've got an advanced billing from the state, and we're probably gonna overrun that bill by about $5,300. But until we get it, we won't know, so we'll have to cover the general share of that and the highway share of that. After we get the bill, we won't get that till this next month, and then it's due December the 15th. But I'm just telling you up front, we already know there's gonna be an overage there. In medical insurance, we're gonna overrun in general by probably about $3,500. Again, the estimate that was given to us for last year, for this year's budget last fall, a year ago, maybe they had the best numbers that they had, but the first and second bills we got from them, they were up by a couple $100 each month, and we'll use up the 18,000, and then we'll just have to transfer to cover that between now and the end of the year. The debt service, we've paid the last payment on the revale ban, so the general fund basically is debt-free as of now, and the only outstanding thing which we'll worry about next year is any Von Schenek and King bills for bond fees. So that's all I have to say on general. In highway, again, under safety equipment, you're down to about only 81 bucks, Ray. I don't know how much more, many more items in that account you might want to purchase. And again, a state retirement for the highway fund. We are going to have to cover a larger bill from the state than we had budgeted for, but we have the cash to pay for that. But we are going to have to pass a resolution to cover it. Disability insurance is down to zero. That came out even, just the way it should. Medical insurance, we're going to not spend all of our money. In other words, we're going to underrun it. So of all of these things I'm telling you about, we did have enough money in the medical for a highway fund to cover us for this year. District expenditures are fine. We've paid Metropolitan Water Board, so that's done. Indebtedness is about all we owe. That's all set, the interest. Last item on your sheet is capital project, which is the Hannibal Street Water. Board was told about that $10,000 that we borrowed. We came into this year with 5806 left, but because of agreements with City of Fulton and whatever, we've had to renew that ban, and so that account dropped by the interest, which the board approved last year, so we're down to just over $5,000.
Do you have any transfers this month?
No.
Okay.
The other thing, the board needs to select the date for the public hearing for the 95 budget. It has to be on or before the Thursday following the general election. And the general election, I believe, is November the 8th.
Our regular meeting's the 9th.
It's up to you.
Can we have it at the same time as a regular meeting?
Yep.
Why don't we do that?
I mean, we can do that if we have to.
I don't recommend going through a whole budget at the same time you do a regular meeting.
Why?
You can do it if you want, but we're gonna be here for a while.
Well, that can be all right. We just we can adjourn to another day if we want to, as long as we get the
It's
budget
your
in.
nickel. It's your nickel.
I know.
You can
You're
hold
gonna
it
have-
before.
I know you can.
But-
But you're gonna have, we got the rest of the month here on the budget process that you're gonna be into.
You should have the highway contract in place.
I would say that, because you can adjourn, as long as we have the meeting, and we can adjourn, we advertise the meeting, we have the meeting on the budget hearing, and then if we have to extend by, we just go to the next night for the regular meeting.
Yeah. You have to adopt it by November the
Is that
20th.
legal, Jim?
You don't have that much time from the
Well, once
time
you
you
have-
hold a public hearing until I've gotta have all these numbers written down and have that thing ready to get typed and proofed.
Well, right, you can,
And copied
but
and
you can
sent
adopt
to
you can adopt the budget immediately after the,
Yes.
you
As
know,
long as
on
it's
Wednesday or
adopted
Thursday.
before November the 20th,
Yeah.
then you comply with the state schedule.
Unless somebody wants to have a meeting before the,
7th?
Next meeting.
You don't want to have it on the 8th, that's election day. You want to shoot for the 7th,
you want to have
public hearing?
you want to have a budget hearing on the 7th?
It's an option.
What day is it?
That's a Monday.
Won't the machines all be set up in here for voting?
That's all right, there's no problem with
Won't
that.
be no problem?
The machines are to the side, you just have to,
Okay.
I have no problem. Do you want to make it the 7th? You can have the budget hearing on the 7th?
That way we can adopt it on
The 8th if you want to, okay? On the 9th, right?
Okay, so that's November the 7th?
What time will that be?
That needs
Yeah,
to
start
be
at 7
published.
o'clock. Yeah,
You should have a standard stock statement
we got that.
What
to
time?
go in the ballot.
You want to make it at 7 o'clock for the budget hearing?
7 o'clock?
Understand?
Okay,
No, I think it's at least 5 days ahead of time.
Yep.
That's what the calendar
No
says,
problem.
but Margie should have a standard statement.
Well, we're still on that. What's the board's pleasure? I know Vince isn't here tonight, but you want me to go ahead and set up an appointment with the highway department and start negotiations?
yeah, let's take and, we're going to meet tomorrow night. Let's take and do the discussion of what we're getting into tomorrow night at that.
Okay, but
And
I
we
mean,
got for the
I can
following
set up
week,
with
whatever.
Ray now to have the guys thinking about, I'll look at my calendar and coordinate with Ray and
Yeah,
he
you
can
can do that with
translate to
him
the
over there.
guys, see if we get something.
Lance,
like going.
can't you, set that up maybe a half hour before these meetings, one of these meetings?
Those negotiations?
Yeah.
Takes more than a half an hour.
It does?
Oh, yeah.
Liz, is-
Sometimes it takes several nights.
Well, let's not get confused here is what we're doing. Let's take and, we're gonna have a work session tomorrow night on budget, so you get into that and you can set up the time, whatever you wanna do on the personnel there. How is everybody scheduled for the, 25th?
There's a question mark here.
What day is it?
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah,
Okay.
start with me.
Lance, you all right?
Yep,
Yeah,
25th.
for another date, so we'll have tomorrow night, the 17th, and the 25th. Okay?
At 7 o'clock too, Jim?
Yeah,
What time did you set the hearing for?
7 o'clock, we're gonna have the hearing, get it done, okay?
Tomorrow night is 7 o'clock too, right?
Yep.
Have a motion made, set that hearing. Let's have a motion
I'll make a motion to do that.
I'll
to set
second
the
it.
hearing for November 7th at 7 o'clock. Second to it?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, Madam Clerk. Okay.
That's all I have.
The, I attended a cable commission, New York State Cable Commission meeting in Watertown on the September the 22nd, I think it was. 23rd. 22nd was. Anyway, and got quite a bit of information on the ins and outs of the procedures for our new channels franchise. So in the near future, we'll be having some discussion about the new channels franchise that comes renewable in February of 1996. But we'll be getting involved in that as to where they are and what services we'd like to have or not have, and consider the franchise fee that we charge and whatever else that comes under that jurisdiction. We had that. We had a meeting at Surrey University on the evening on a work session on town board zoning law relationships, and that was attended by a few people from Valney and Granby. I had a meeting with representation from the Fulton School District just recently, considering a couple items there that we thought would be relative to the future that we'd like to get involved with, and
How did
investigating
you
something.
make out with that sewer connecting into the
I'm just
school?
I'm talking about it with them. That's one of the options we're talking
It's
about.
coming, right?
Well, that, when there is a deal with the school district, it's district itself, whatever can happen, I don't exactly. We're working on the legalities of that and where we would connect and what we wouldn't be able to do. We met with the neighborhood initiative people for a review of the impact on the Fulton School District. that took place last month. Quite a bit of discussion on the relationship between the two towns in the city of Fulton in terms of the management of the government. Was involved in it. The school district has some thoughts about their relationship to the municipalities in terms of recreation that we're looking into. That just about covers them all, I guess, that I had responsibility to be at to, and I thought I was going to be at to. Nothing else. Tomorrow's the last day for anyone that has to register for this coming election. There is no, as far as I know, there's no election or registration times. I don't know of any being posted anywhere. I think that they dropped that as part of the procedure now, so unless someone's got some information I don't know, you got to turn it in by sending a form into the election board by midnight tomorrow night by mail, or be there tomorrow by 5 o'clock to get registered. Okay.
Jim, can I ask, are we gonna send a letter of intent to get into the EDZ zone, or?
Yep.
Or what are we gonna do?
Well, the board had advised me to consider that, and we have advised the city community development agency that to provide us with the procedures needed to get into their economic development zone. And we got a letter from Mr. Keeney in relationship to that. And I talked to Mr. Treadwell today just to make sure that I didn't miss any opportunities here. And his feeling is that we would be making the application after the first of the year to the Economic Development Zone Administration, because of the fact that right now they're working to get the canning factory, or the can plant, Reynolds Aluminum can plant in Valney into their zone. So he felt that would be the first thing they would get done, and the second thing we'd do would take and pick up the town of Granby's application, if the town board so desired. I hadn't got back to Mr. Keeney on it. I checked with Mr. Treadwell today, and just making sure we didn't have any deadline that we were missing, because that's the only thing I was concerned about.
Is there a deadline?
No. They'll make an application. Right now, they're making the application to include Valney, and it's an expansion of the zone, so they want to get that one done without causing any other problems, and then we're taking get on to the Granby expansion. Did that do it?
Yep.
Okay. But the letter of intent has been sent to the cities,
Treadwell?
to Community Development Administration, so that they would have it from us.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay, can I have audit of town bills? You can combine if you want. General fund is $5,301.32. Highway fund is $50,180.46. If there's no objection, you can combine it. If there's an objection, we'll separate them.
I make a motion we accept the general fund figure of 530132 and the highway fund 50180 period 46, and accept them as written.
Okay, have a second to that?
One second.
Okay, any other discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, Madam Clerk. Okay, we'll have our next regular meeting will be November 9th, 1994, 7:30 p.m. Our budget hearing will be on November 7th at 7 o'clock, and we'll have a work session on October 13th, October 17th, and October 25th pertaining to the budget. And all of them are at 7 o'clock. Okay. I'll open the floor to the public. Mr. Rookie, or is there someone from your group that wants to talk on that exemption deal that I was talking about earlier?
Mr. Rookie isn't here.
I'm
He isn't
sorry.
here.
I'm sorry. I got them mixed up. I missed it. Can't be there. Yeah, I was looking at you, but, because you, I got my mind blown on this.
For the November meeting, town meeting, when is that gonna be, next month?
Yes, that'd be November the 9th. Yeah. Hey,
What can we expect, just a discussion about it from the town board, or
Well,
action?
what they would do is, we have to take and develop a law. We would take and have the law presented to the town board, and then we would take and have a hearing on the law, and it would probably, the hearing would be 10 days or later after that. So you would have something happen between now and, we'll say, December 15th, that would pass that would put it for 1996, though. It wouldn't take effect for 1995's tax rate.
When will we get an indication of which way the board is leaning on, for or against it?
Well, just as soon as the board has the information that determines their responsibilities on it, how much it's going to be affected, and what part of the benefits affected. See, I'm unclear, and I don't want to get in that discussion tonight, but I'm unclear exactly how much of it that would have an impact on the total assessment. But the town board would have to take and have that so they can make a decision about it and go from there. If my personal opinion of it was that we put the reval in, the reval was done with the intent to take and do the 100%, and because we did that, obviously we ran into the problem of the alternative benefit option, and that was the way it was, and that's what we did. As you know, we were talking the other day about this. We had some confusion as to what was happening and how it happened and what the impact would be. That's why I didn't get it on this in September for the September 30th deadline. But the board at that time just went through with the reval, and that was whatever the results of reval affected the veterans, and that's why you had the alternative benefits. The only option you had to save some of that. So I don't know. I can't tell you what direction the board will go until they see the paperwork in front of them, but we'll be doing that the 9th anyway. I propose to anyway. Okay. Let's see. Someone else? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I've been living on Chase Road.
Yep.
Got that volleyball course going on across from me,
Mm-hmm.
soccer. How come they took a meter, a road count meter, down on Hannibal, not Hannibal, but down on Honeyhill, not on Hannibal where all the traffic's gonna be going? That road's only 26 feet wide. 20 feet. We measured it. And we're gonna have a lot of traffic, 500 cars coming up there, plus school buses. My God, what do you wanna do, kill half our kids?
Well, I don't know where they took a road count. I don't know
It
where. I don't know
was down by Green's Dog Kennel.
who did that. The state?
No, I guess down at Granby.
No,
No.
Mr. Butler did that.
Pardon?
Mr. Butler did that for the soccer association.
We're not against the soccer, but the road is just not built for this kind of traffic. And, coming back and forth, you get 2 school buses going down the road, half of them's in the ditch.
Well, the decision to put the soccer field there was made by was approved by the planning board. The fact after their meetings
Yeah, we
and
called
so
the
on.
planning board, but he told us we were supposed to make a protest before they was gonna put it over there, which we didn't know they was gonna put it. So we
Well,
couldn't
no,
make a
that-
protest on it, which
well, it
we
was
did,
adver-
but it-
Yeah, it was advertised they were going to do that. I don't. But anyway, I don't know exactly what the status of numbers were that they had on traffic flow. There was a report on that. I read it, but I can't remember the specifics of it right now. All I can tell you is if there's a situation comes up where the road is in need of service to take and provide the carrying of the traffic and whatever else has got to happen, the town has a responsibility of doing that.
Yeah, but I
but-
can't see where the town should have the responsibility if they're gonna put that out there and bring this much traffic out there. Why don't they take the responsibility and do the road?
Well, because
They did it up here at Kmart, they had to make that other ramp to come out to Kmart, and them had to.
well, yeah, I
Why should the
understand.
taxpayers put up this kind of money when this here project's gonna be tax-free?
Because it's, we're gonna put up all this kind of money, the taxpayers, and we're not getting anything. But
Well,
bills.
Well, I understand your statement, and I understand your argument in opposition along that line. But the planning board had their hearing and come up with the resolution of the question whether it's going to be there. Now, if you've got a problem with traffic and so on, we'll just have to respond to it. And if it's a town road and it's not doing its job, it'll have to be set up so it'll do its job.
The road ain't gonna hold up and all that. It's not that great a shape now.
I've got a question on that, Jim. When that started, I think Mr. LaBeef and Mr. Taylor and all them come in here with a petition from Chase Road.
Yep.
What
That was it.
happened to that petition? Did you turn it over
That was
to
the
the planning board?
planning board had the petition.
And why wasn't that petition for these people? Why wasn't that petition?
The petition was part of the record for the planning board.
Right, because I remember them coming in here with it.
Yeah. No,
I'd like to ask a question too, Jim. On that situation itself, now, the first time it was advertised, I did see that, and I was here to the first meeting. At that time, they said at the next meeting they would give an answer, which I went to that one too. And they tabled it,
the
okay?
planning board tabled it?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, after it is tabled, is it possible for them to have a meeting without bringing it up with advertisement, or calling the people that have been here to inform them of what happened?
If they adjourned, they tabled it or
They
adjourned,
tabled it,
yeah.
and then they just had the soccer association come back again with all their figures for the count and all that,
Yeah.
but none of us was notified.
Did they close the hearing did they, at the time that they, when you say table, did they close the hearing at that time, or did they do something else?
They tabled it. He says we will table it at this time.
And, okay, question as to whether or not they informed anybody of another meeting date.
Now,
Did they give a date that day when they adjourned to?
June 7th meeting was held, and it said no Chase Road residents are present. They weren't informed.
Well, I read that on the minutes. There was no,
How can you be present if you're not informed the meeting has happened?
It's an adjournment, okay, let me find out when that meeting was. I can't tell you right off the bat off the top of my head what they did. I'll find out.
Jim, if this organization isn't affiliated with the school,
No,
I
they're
mean,
not.
why should they be tax exempt?
Well, they're not affiliated with the school. They're a tax exempt organization. You can organize it. You can be a tax exempt organization, a church or a tax exempt organization, you know.
Youth
They're-
Soccer Association,
yeah.
it's nationwide.
Yeah, so the question or the situation is one that they found a piece of property on a road that isn't a main drag. It isn't Hannibal Road, or it isn't Route 3, or it isn't
I know.
48. I mean, that's the other thing.
I know, but, them being tax-free, they're not liable for any of the expenses that's gonna have to be incurred there.
I have a question for Brenda. Brenda, if you've got 40 acres of prime land, 40 acres of prime, say anybody, how are you assessed for 40 acres of land in Granby? They say it's hardly nothing, but I figured it was available for builders to, it was very. In other words, they won't pay taxes on this, but the taxpayers will have to pick up the loss of,
Of what it was.
yes, of what it was.
Off the top of my head, I'd have to check to see what the original assessment was on that piece of property at the time of the revale.
I was just wondering what 40 acres would around,
What about the back taxes? Who's gonna pay that?
Pardon?
Are you gonna give the back taxes away too?
There's back taxes out on that property.
Well, the back taxes are responsible of who owns the property. Okay?
How are they gonna have a project with these taxes not paid?
Well, I don't know the people buying it would have to take and make
What I'm
sure.
saying is, the thing was advertised in the paper for a tax sale.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say to you is that the property, whoever 90, 92, 93 will say taxes, I presume the people buying it would clear the title of that. You know, the people selling it would want to clear the title, they could sell it.
Tax people know about it, if it's paid or not?
Well, the county people would know about it. We wouldn't know about it here particularly. Pardon?
The school tax.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, if the previous taxes would take and, I presume the buyer would take and ask them to be cleared up before they take and purchase it. Otherwise, they're buying something with that lien on it.
Haven't they bought it already?
Yeah, but I mean, I presume that they
Well, if
They
they
cleared the
didn't buy
tax.
it already, they're crazy, they're digging.
well,
Are they digging?
Shouldn't the taxes been paid before they started?
well, let's yeah, but see, the
That's
problem
what
is
we're
that's
trying to
not.
find out.
Now, the problem you got is that's the deal between the people buying it saying, I want a clear title. I would think that they'd want a clear title. They wouldn't want to have the lien on it from the county, because the county lien would still be effect.
Yeah, but if
It can be done, up here, it can be done. I bought a place 26 years ago, I had a lien on it, I bought it for cash.
Yeah, but the point of it is, if the county has a lien on the property, I would believe that the soccer people would want to clear the title before they bought it. I would think
It's in
they'd
the
want it.
county with money, you know, with the Memorial Hospital.
I have a question for Lund. Lund, Mr. Lund, can I ask him a question? Mr. Weaver, that is supposedly selling this property, I don't know. He's got a permit to mine, right, Mr. Lund?
It's not an EDC permit
To mine. Now, he's got a permit coming up to mine right next to where they're going to build the soccer field. Now, is this right, that somebody can just start mining next to a soccer field?
Well, they were mining. they
I'm
had the
asking
permit first,
Steve,
right?
I mean,
I don't have an answer to that question. I think that whatever the DEC procedure is to review those things, it certainly takes something like that into consideration.
it could,
The town planning board would take that into consideration.
it's the same piece of property. It's the same owner that sold to the soccer, that applied for, and he's gonna mine right there, right next to the soccer field.
Is there
He
a
is not
established
going to
setback?
do it, he is doing it.
Steve, are you sure he has a
He is
DEC
doing
permit to mine? He doesn't, no, not,
I
Bill
can give you
Moskowitz told me
photographs,
a couple months ago.
there's 2 trucks and a steam shovel, working, loading his trucks right on that site.
Well, let me just say that the fact that the taxes weren't paid before the people bought the property, okay, is not in the jurisdiction of the town, because that's between the buyer and the seller.
Well, this guy's applying for another permit to reopen his mine, like, your lady said there, wants to do this, right, and he's got it through the planning board or whatever it is now. He didn't wait for an answer, he's doing it.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were talking to Steve
So,
about.
is this permissible?
He can mine a certain amount of it.
Well, no, he can't mine. He's got a DEC permit. He can do things with a DEC permit if he's got one. That's the question.
Doesn't have one.
Okay, can I, Mr. Keeney, did you have anything you wanted to bring up to the meeting?
Not this evening.
Okay.
So does the zoning on that have to be changed before they can proceed where they are, or has it been changed?
For the soccer field? No, it's a permitted use because it's rural area or agriculture area. It's permitted use. You know, and they went, as far as the planning board goes from the standpoint of procedure, as far as I know, I didn't know anything about, I seen the part in the minutes about the, no residents in Chase Road were there, but I didn't know that they had adjourned, or tabled something and come back another time. I didn't know that, but I'll check that. I don't know what do. They've got their
They've already got it. but it's
approval,
private,
yeah.
like it's
Well, I will, yeah.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, okay.
So would you let me know?
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that.
Well, let the guy say it.
I got a lady, can I get her to take?
The fact that the soccer field is just outside the city limits, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of kids that are gonna be walking, they're gonna be riding their bikes. It's not just the vehicle traffic. Is it conceivable at all that vehicles, this field be off of Route 8 rather than off of the Chase Road and have just a pedestrian bicycle? I mean, we've got one curve that's a 20-mile-an-hour curve now. I've yet to see a car slow down to 20 mile an hour going around that curve.
Well, I
You
don't,
get kids on both sides of that road on bicycles or walking, and you get two vehicles, there's not room.
I have to consider the fact that the planning board, when they reviewed the site plan, took into account these different items. I don't know how they handled
That
it.
was one thing that was brought up at
What?
the first meeting, but it was not brought up according to the minute of the June 7th meeting.
Yeah. Okay, but I mean, it was in the jurisdiction of the planning board to make some decision as where entrance for the property would be on the site plan. I don't know exactly how they determined that or where it is. I haven't looked at where the site is physically laid out right now. I know they're traveling on Chase Road right this moment. That's specific, but I don't know anything about the other thing. The only thing from the town standpoint on it, that if the planning board done everything that they were supposed to do to permit the operation there, then the only thing that the highway department can do or the town board can do is if there's something relevant to a problem that's got to be resolved, that they can interest in doing.
Well, I think this needs to go to the planning board does anyone on the planning board want to take responsibility if one of these kids get killed?
Well, that isn't,
We've had some
yeah, well,
harrowing experiences on that road as it is, without additional traffic and without additional pedestrian and bicycle traffic on it.
well, that issue of health, welfare, and all that stuff is part of the charge that the planning board has. How they come with their final decision is part of that charge. If they felt that they can handle the traffic down there, then they felt they could handle it. They approved it. But like I say, if there's a circumstances which is unique or other than traffic's going to happen.
Is there anyone on that planning board that is living on that road?
Did anybody look at the road or measure the road?
Great. Well, I know, but the point of it is the road, whether it's 20 foot or 30 foot or whatever it is a town road, and the property's there, and the property was available in terms of being permitted. They could permit the soccer field. The traffic flow question was answered. I take it was resolved at the planning board's.
There's no mention of it in the minutes of
Simple
the June
arithmetic.
7th meeting.
Is there any way anybody can find out if the planning board did it the right way?
Well, the minutes will take and reflect the activity took place.
Ray, did the planning board ask you about that road?
Pardon, just that. What'd you say?
What are the rules that they have to follow? Where do we get a copy of that? So we
Right here in the office, they're available to you.
And then we can read the minutes and make sure they followed everything?
Well, if they're in there, I have to assume that when they took and done the review, that's one of the, matter of fact, it was part of the question, because someone said there was a traffic count. I don't know where it come from.
Yeah, put that on a slow end of the road. I mean, I don't know where it's coming from, so that's not accurate.
I thought I
Put it
saw.
on the north side of the driveway, that's going to the ball field, when everybody's gonna be coming from Campbell Street way, most of them.
I thought I saw the reference to, and I don't know how that happened, to the New York State Transportation Department in the letter I received where I got a copy of Mr. Butler's. I don't know if that's true or not. Again, I have to look and see if that was where it come from. But somewhere he got a highway count, and it was presented to him.
True, but it's not an accurate one, because
You've
it's
got
other end of the
47
road.
residential houses on there that weren't accounted for with that counter. I mean,
Yeah.
people are always
Yeah,
gonna go
from the other
And
side.
I go
turn around and
to
come back.
work every day, and I never went over a counter. It was nothing
Okay.
like that.
Well, the information is on file, and the rules they got to go by are in the file too. They're available to you.
What's the difference if there's a dozen cars with a counter, if the road is not wide enough to handle that kind of traffic? Now, I know for a fact that a bus is 8 feet wide, 2 buses are 16 feet wide, on a 20-foot road, leaves you 4 foot, but between them 2 buses, and a 1.5 foot on each side, where there's ditches down 2 or 3 feet. No guardrails, no nothing. But it
Well,
keeps the water.
Yeah, I understand totally what you're telling me, and so on.
Okay,
The
let the
board,
guy spend his money.
well, the planning board made a decision to approve the site plan and location of that entrance on there. If that's so, then they took into account, I presume, okay, and I have to accept that, that they took into account traffic flow and whatever documentation they had. The question that I can chase down, what Elmer's talking about, is whether or not we took in, they had a notification or whatever they did on the second meeting that they had on it that no one attended. That's a question I can ask. I don't know about, other than the fact that there's, in the records, there's information about the traffic count. I know that there's
The
documents.
first meeting, Jim, and what happened to the Alderman Road, it was the drainage problem solved upon the new prints that were submitted at the meeting nobody was at. Those were the two questions that were the main thing on the first.
Drainage? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
My name's David Palmer, I'm a taxpayer in the town of Granby. First, I've got about 3 questions, I think. I've got a statement to make. First, I'd like to thank Rose Anthony for her initiative with Fran Sullivan for the town of Granby senior citizens. I have a couple of senior citizens in my own family. The rest of this, I'd like it on the record, please. On August 13th, 1993, Town Planning Board minutes, under miscellaneous projects, states under miscellaneous projects, the following issues were brought up at the meeting. 1, Bingham Road has an illegal trailer park. No one has applied for approvals. Date, 12/8/93. It's a letter to Dave Pomeroy, which was read here in the minutes of the town meeting by Steve Lund, building inspector. It says zoning violations, town of Granby. Paragraph in here says concerning the mobile home park on Bingham Road, known as Country Acres, only the 4 mobile homes existing when zoning took effect are grandfathered in. Any subsequent expansion should have been subject to special use permit and site plan review. All mobile homes placed on the site for occupancy would require building permits. That was under zoning violations. So Jim, what I'd like to ask you is, could you tell me what the status is relative to the problem with Country Acres and the complaint that's been filed with the town?
As of yesterday, the status is the attorney doesn't feel he has quite enough to take this thing to Supreme Court for the violation. He would like to have some idea exactly what it was on the 4th of June 1975. That's where he stands on his advice to us, or to me anyway.
Could you tell me exactly what he's lacking so I can get it for you?
Existing there on the June 4th, 1975.
I think he has enough photographs and enough information which basically tells him that. I think you got a concern within a 4-day period, which you shouldn't have, because those photographs are certified by Department of Agriculture, United States government, and they show exactly what's there. I wouldn't show anything that wasn't there.
Well, I mean, I don't know how precise they are. I mean, as to site locations, you know, and water services and septic receptacles and stuff like that.
All that information is included in the package that I provided to you relative to the Department of, Oswego County Department of Health.
Mm-hmm.
And those records were all included in those packages relative to the number of trailers that were on sites, and they all have dates that they were inspected.
Well, and as I understand it, the health department got involved in inspections in 1985. Before that, it was the New York State Health Department that took it out of Watertown that maintained the mobile home park inventory. But needless to say, the question I have to my attorney, what action do you advise us we can do? And his response to me was that the June 4th, 1975 date, we haven't got what was actually there. We've got an affidavit by you, we've got the review by it, and we have a Mr. What was his name, that owned the land in 1975? No, the one before that.
Harry Morris?
Perry Morris. We have his thing, there's a letter of some sort that says that there are X number of units there, plus there's X number of spaces for 12. That's part of the detail that we have in the letter. But the other part of that is there's no date on it.
For Mr. Morris, is that what you're saying?
There's a letter on that has Mr. Morris's name on it as the owner of the park, and it says certain things, but it doesn't have a date on it, as saying that day that wherever the letter was written, it doesn't have that part of it. If we had that number to go with, we could take and say, okay. He owned it until in October of 1975, as I understood it.
Okay, I'll see what I can do for some more affidavits for you.
Okay, I'm not trying to hold you back. I just would start doing anything we want to do, as far as I'm concerned, because it should be done. But the whole point of it is that going to Supreme Court and spending the monies and do this and that, we at least want to be sure that we've got our situation in control. So if we don't make any headway, at least we made a legitimate effort to do it with the proper direction. That's all.
Can I ask Mr. Lund a question? You mind?
Do you have an answer for somebody, Mr. Lund? Go ahead.
Mr. Lund, the information that was provided by me, all the documentation, etc., the affidavits that you have, do you feel that there is enough information there to proceed at this time?
That's kind of a legal question. I don't know, I've never been to the Supreme Court, and I wouldn't be the prosecuting attorney if we went. I'd be a witness at best. I can't answer that. Well, I would have to answer that.
Based on your...
Well, let me, hold on, just before you go on. The question that has to be posed is, if the information is there, the town board will make a decision based on the opinion of the attorney. The next event will take place, and the town board will make the decision whether or not they go to court or not. Mr. Lund's circumstance would be to take and tell us what he feels his circumstances are on it, but the town board's going to have to make a decision to go to court.
Okay, I understand that. I'll see what I can do about getting some more documentation.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I think I can do that.
Then you...
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't answer your phone on Monday, Lynn. I was out working.
That's okay.
It was Columbus Day, I know, but I was out working.
Okay, first question. How much money is allocated for an attorney for the year?
$10,000 bucks.
And we have 800 left?
Mm-hmm.
How much money do we have left in the ZBA?
I forget now.
National campaign.
Right here. DVA, 110.76.
7,500.
No. ZBA is, the Board of Appeals is
County Board of
110.
Appeals, $110.
Yep.
How much do they start out with in the beginning of the year?
$27.50.
Okay. I called Steve when I called Jim. Jim had said Monday about a violation with a minor, which, of course, this is ongoing. Probably won't ever stop. Steve, could you tell them exactly what Mr. Moskowitz told you about Mr. Meany operating on holiday and also about Mr. Ferguson?
Well, I talked to Joe today about meeting operating. An official holiday is covered under general construction law that I couldn't find, but anyway, Columbus Day is an official holiday. If the mine is operating on that day, they're in violation of the DEC permit. And all that he needs, or all that the law enforcement end of the DEC needs, is a statement from somebody that saw that going on. And they would issue violation notices or appearance tickets or do whatever is necessary. But it would have to be somebody that saw it, or any number of people that saw it.
And about Mr. Ferguson?
Now, the Ferguson thing is a little confusing. The haulage road hasn't really been clearly established where the best place is. Almost everybody is in agreement that County Route 8 would be better than 85, and apparently that's where Ferguson is hauling right now. But Joe said that if he was, that would be the place where they would want him. It would be hard for him to go after Ferguson for using a road that everybody was in agreement would be the best road, even though it's not one that's approved. That was my answer.
Okay. So basically, what I guess I wanted Steve to tell you all that was because in Mr. Ferguson's permit from the DEC, it states the Hollis Road entrance is on County Route 85. If you guys are going to do an amendment going by the state law, maybe you should write to the state first and tell them that they need to enforce their laws and not play the games that basically the answer we got for that. My opinion is when the state comes down with a permit and says you have to go by these rules and then says you can do something other than that, where is any protection for any of us?
Well, I didn't talk to the gentleman or anything like that, but I would think that the
We asked for the road to be
Oh, I
moved
know.
to County Route 8 a long time ago.
Well, I realize that, but what I'm saying to you is, I don't know where the jurisdiction comes from the DEC to take it, allow someplace else to be the road. I don't know what the circumstances is.
Has a permit been given by the town to Mr. Ferguson?
A permit was given to the town,
No, given by the
conditioned,
town.
conditioned on the fact that they have a haulage road on 85. That the confusion was, is the haulage road on the east side or west side of the cemetery?
Should he be hauling at all since he doesn't have a permit with the town yet, basically? Does he have a permit with the
Has
town?
he got a permit with the town now?
He's applied for the special use permit.
Is there a permit from the town?
He's got all the permits, I think.
There is a permit from the town. Where does it say that he's supposed to haul out on that permit from the town?
Well, see, all the conditions that we have, the way I understand it, all the conditions that we impose go on to the DEC permit, and they're the ones that enforce it
And do you know what the DEC permit says?
for, in relation to.
The Hall Road entrance or exit.
No, I don't.
It says County Route 85.
Well, I know it says 85, I'm not sure whether it's east or west of exactly where it is on 85.
I don't think anybody ever concluded or followed through with this. Again, it got through the ZBA, it went backwards, because it should have gone to the planning, then the ZBA, it went backwards. Did the planning board ever give it its final approval? Does he have a legal permit in the town?
Yeah, he has a legal permit. The only
does?
question is on the
It's not
haulage
Okay.
road.
All right, so he violated his permit with the town, correct?
No.
Except that the town conditions are part of the DEC permit.
So he violated the DEC permit, correct? Will somebody take care of that then?
We can inquire. I'll take and tell him
I
we
guess
got
what
a
I'm
problem.
trying to tell you, I have spent a year of my life, a year and a half of my life, trying to get some sanity into my neighborhood. Mr. Ferguson had come to us and told us he wanted to be a good neighbor, follow the law. He wasn't like the rest of them. He wasn't going to do any of that thing. He called me the day before he was going to haul out, said, Lynn, I want to call you and let you know that we're going to take a couple loads out. I won't be going by your house, but I'm going to take a couple loads out. I do want you to tell Mr. White that, no, I'm not finished with putting up, he's supposed to put up all the trees, and what else was he supposed to put up before he could even haul out?
Well, trees was
According to his DEC permit.
Well, he's supposed to put up trees, that was the Granby permit. But the DEC permit says several other things, and I didn't come prepared to talk about them, but a couple of them were to establish those, to build that coffer dam, whatever you want to call it, the drainage thing to protect the wetlands, one. Build a 12 or 16-inch earthen berm around the area he's going to mine that, and I haven't seen that done yet, it might be, but I doubt it.
But he did haul out. He took stuff out, and he took it out of the wrong entrance.
And he stood up right here. in
He
this room,
stood up
asked
right
that
here and said
question
he's not
from
like the
law.
rest of them, he's not going to do it. He did it.
Okay. Well, we'll give a call to Moskowitz and see what he's going to do about coming down.
Next call has to be to the law enforcement.
Law enforcement officer is coming out to my house tomorrow because of Monday's violation. But I want it on record that I did indeed try to call you, Mr. Jim, and explain to you about Monday. You got my message, correct?
Yeah.
Rosie, didn't I call you and tell you? Steve, I tried calling you, but you were you went to Tully with your wife or something for a ride, okay? I called your home.
Shouldn't do that.
I called the state police told me they cannot enforce state laws. It's exactly, I got the gentleman's name, the whole works.
They don't enforce mining laws?
He told me state laws, when I explained the circumstances to him. I have the gentleman's name. I called everybody I could call. It was a holiday, who are you gonna get to come out and verify that there's a problem when they're looking
You
at
got somebody coming down and look at the problem on the,
No, I have to sign my name to a deposition, because I couldn't find any of you guys.
just a moment. What I'm trying to find out, you're saying you got someone coming down on the Columbus Day violation, right?
Yes.
Okay. We'll see if we can't, I'll give a call tomorrow sometime. I won't do it tomorrow. I can't do it tomorrow.
Joe specifically about this,
What I'm interested in is the Hollies Road. I'll give a call Friday. I can't do it tomorrow. I'm gonna be tied up too many
I
things.
was at that meeting.
Friday, I'll get a hold of the DEC if I can get a hold of Moskowitz, and I ask him about the Hollies Road. I'll also determine what we've done in town on the Hollies Road.
Steve did a good job. I mean, he did exactly what I asked. I don't want you to think I'm screaming at you, Steve. You did. And I'm very pleased you did. But the answer that was given was kind of a runaround circular thing. Basically, yes, there's rules and regulations, but who cares?
Well,
And that leads me to my next one. What's going on with this amendment? If we're going to have an amendment to mining, you people said that you wanted it to go by state procedure. What's the difficulty? Why is this taking so long?
well, because it's in looking at the mine reclamation law that has been evolved and DEC's management of it, all of a sudden we find that on a, like Ferguson's particular operation, a 20-year permit is really being given. He's given a 5-year renewal automatically if he does everything right by DEC. So we're talking about a 20-year span now. When they come in and get their special permit, if that's what we're going to do, in that 20-year, on the first
But isn't
day...
it very simple? You have the choice to not make that 20 years as a municipality yourself. We
Well-
have zoning laws.
Well, no,
So you have the
no.
option not to do that.
No, you can't put a law in that's going to take and interfere with DEC's management of the
But
mining.
yes, you can because we have zoning laws.
Yeah, but the point of it is, you can't take and put a law in that's going to say you can't do a 20-year plan.
No, but they have to come back in for renewal
Oh,
to
yeah,
make
but-
sure they did everything
Okay.
right in their last 5 years.
Right, but the problem you have
They're
with
not
that
going
I'm...
to abuse our town property.
But the problem I have with the program you've got is that if you sit there and if you take and give them a permit, a special use permit for 20 years, you just say, because that's what you're doing, you're saying 20 years, you'll be a good boy, and in 5 years we'll take and give you another one, and so on. Then when you come to the 5-year period, what's changed? It's going to be almost an automatic. You can come in and talk about what you want to do, you can say I didn't like what happened, and so on,
Is
but
that
it's
why
almost
we're
an
waiting
automatic.
for all these renewals on these others?
No.
Are we waiting till you get your amendment in? Or
No,
is it
no,
because
no,
we
no,
don't
no,
have any money
that's-
for?
no.
Jim, I'm asking, or is it
No.
because we don't have any money for hearings? Where's
No.
the holdup with that?
Money isn't a problem. Money's going to be spent. If we have to spend it, we spend
But
it.
why are we not proceeding ahead with these renewals on
They
these
are.
others?
I checked with Beverly today, and they're down to,
Well, you know what?
the
I
county.
called 2
Well,
weeks
wait a minute,
ago.
hold it. The ZBA takes and operates their office. They've got the applications down to the county to take and determine
Why
whether or
doesn't
not...
the planning board have a
they're-
copy of any of this information? They're supposed to get it first.
The ZBA special use permit renewal was, the ZBA has taken handling the special
They
use
gave it to
permit.
the county. What's the county gonna do with it?
Because they review the application.
For
And
what, though?
whatever, what is it, 239? 239 now.
Why doesn't our
But-
planning board have copies of any of this?
Because it doesn't get to them yet. It goes to ZBA. It's the ZBA's job to take and issue the permit. The planning board is not going to be,
The
you know,
planning board doesn't have to?
No.
Have to review any of this?
No.
On a renewal?
No.
Who wrote the protocol for the renewals?
well, the renewal is
Who
based
wrote-
on the...
There isn't any in our zoning laws. Who just wrote the protocol for renewals now?
The renewals are based on the fact that we're going to take and have ZBA review them, okay? The difficulty is we have the law of 1991 we're dealing with. You're not going to stop them from taking mining if they had a zoning, a ZBA approval before. The problem is, how do you take and manage it so that you can control that activity and have some means of doing it? You got a 30-day, period of comment after DEC says they're going to take and review the permit. Well, that isn't time enough for all the boards to take action, number one. Number two is, what are you reviewing? If you're doing a 20-year permit in 5-year intervals, what are you reviewing? That they did all right or didn't do right? You already had the complaints on that. You're still not getting anywhere. What you've got to have is some sort of procedure where you've got a management plan. I don't exactly how we're going to do it, but you've got to change state law to do with mining. It won't be done by just having the zoning ordinance taken and handled, because special use permits are,
Can't we just take?
they go with the land. Normally they go with land. And what you're saying is that somehow we've got to get the state of New York to recognize that they changed the law, but they didn't see what the impact was going to be for the municipality. They've taken all the real bite, except for, as you know, for the reviewing what DEC is going to do anyway. So you've got to change the law so that you have some impact some other way. Then maybe you can manage your part, the town's part, of the mining operation. That's about as simple as you can get, and that's what we're working with.
Okay.
And when we get done with this thing, hopefully the amendment we're going to take and develop will be used as something that the state legislature can change the law.
Okay, what protocol is being used now then for renewals?
Well, right now, the ZBA is taking and reviewing the permits, but they're not asking for the complete permit. Anybody had a permit, made an application, it doesn't have to be a complete, full permit like an original application would be on a renewal.
What's it gotta be?
Pardon?
Did you get I asked Steve for a copy of, I guess Wally wrote it up and he thought it was procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get me a copy of that?
I think I can do that.
Okay, because I did ask for a copy of that. So really, we're still at a standstill, don't really know what we need to do a renewal?
No, presumably we know what we need for a renewal. We've already took and
Renewal are
submitted.
more standards that Wally came up with, only because the
Is that
zoning is
legal?
so vague.
Is that kind of changing the zoning again? I mean, I don't understand. Can somebody explain it to me? How can you just write something up and say, this is the way it is now, guys?
The zoning
When
board
Mr.
can't-
Meany 2 years ago applied for renewal, and I bet his procedure wasn't like that. I don't understand how you can just do these things.
Well,
Explain it to me, and maybe I'll be quiet.
The
I
zoning
can
board doesn't
understand
have
it.
any discretionary powers. They can only go by standards that are supposed to be put into the zoning by the legislative body.
Well, the way our zoning reads right now, I don't see where anybody can even reapply or get an extension on the permit, because there's no criteria, no
Well, there is,
protocol or
Wally
procedure.
came up with the four standards, basically.
But wait a minute, did we have a public hearing to say this
No,
is it
no,
now, guys?
no, because
It's not the way you amend the zoning laws,
no,
and
we
that's
didn't
what you're
amend.
doing by having
No,
Wally do
what
that.
we have is we have in the zoning ordinance, you get a special use permit for 3 years, then you can have a 2-year renewal, and then it doesn't say nothing else. The problem you have in the state of New York, so it'll be a 5-year permit.
I'm not worried about
No,
the state
no,
of New
I-
York right now, I'm worried
Well,
about
see-
following our own zoning laws. There was a letter in the paper from John Cabot about it's the people's choice, the people make the zoning laws. Apparently, you know, I have said there's a flaw in these zoning laws, especially right now, because it doesn't have any protocol or procedure to go for an extension on a permit. Therefore, you can't just come up with something a town lawyer says, well, now we're gonna make this the way it's gotta be. I believe to
Well,
do
because
that,
you
if
can
an
add not-
amendment to your zoning laws, you have to go through a public hearing.
Yeah, but we're not amending the zoning law, we're just saying, there's nothing that says they can't have another permit, it just says
There's
3
nothing
and
that
2.
says they can either, really.
But you got the whole game of the game, right there.
So
There's
I
nothing that says you
think you
can,
better
nothing says
not
you
do
can't.
anything on them and
Well, the
stop them
whole-
right now.
the
They're
pro-
all in
no.
violation, Jim.
No, the point of it is,
I'm not gonna stop this, because I am right.
well,
I am right.
you may say you're right. The problem we have is we have 3 and 2, nothing thereafter. Now, we've got a new law that says that the DEC will take and have,
We don't have a
allow
new law.
permits. Now, wait a minute. and the town will not take and create a law that will not allow mining under these conditions, okay? Now, you can do one other thing. You can say there's no mining allowed, period, but that won't take out the grandfather.
Well, you know what's gonna happen, and we're ready for it, because we're gonna go around this town, and we're gonna get a petition, we're done. It's taken too long for any answers, it's taken too long for any amendments, and I'm sick and tired of everybody changing the zoning laws to their own whims. And this is what's happening.
Well, that's your privilege. I have no problem with that.
Next question, where's my street light on 8 and 85?
I can't tell you.
Like, Tim Maxim called me on that the other day, and I've been chasing, trying
This
to
is
check on
another
I tried
5
calling
month,
Kathy.
6 month thing?
Well, I tried calling Kathy and I couldn't get in touch
that.
with her.
She's not in. I tried checking on it too myself.
When might we have an answer on that?
Whenever I get Kathy to take, and give me a call back. I don't know exactly what their scheduling is, but I thought all these would be changed by now.
Who attended the zoning meeting in Syracuse from Granby?
I did.
They had, anybody else, or just you?
No.
Was it real interesting?
Pardon?
Was it real interesting?
Yeah. I was there with 3 members of the Valley Town Board.
Did it talk about, a lot about zoning laws and?
Well, that's what it's about. It was formulating zoning, town board's powers and that, and so on. Yeah.
Ann, is Brenda still here? Brenda, is full value assessment still is it mandatory in the state?
Full values.
Mandatory?
Okay, but back when we went to do it, didn't they tell us that it was going to be mandatory, that we ought to do it now?
Data collection
Data collection,
was mandated.
okay.
The revaluation or the full market value and the percentage that you put on it was strictly up to each municipality.
Why did we do it?
Did what?
It's in here, I don't know.
Why did we do it?
What, did what?
Go to full value.
Because of the simple reason that we had, in 1990, we had the data, we put 100% on it. The resulting activity for a couple of years, up until this year, coming up, like the county rate was don't hold me to the exact number, like 9.21, and last year the county rate went up something all over, but ours only went up to 9.26 or 27, 28, we went 6 cents. That's why you did it, because the value, it doesn't make it, if it's 10% of it or it's 100%. The only thing that happened was the property owners that were veterans got hit because they had to take and go with the alternative benefit to protect their interests. But it doesn't make any difference. You did the reval because it's simply 100% puts you at a market value everybody supposedly understood. Okay?
Our
And
school taxes, we're paying a percentage of the pie for Fulton school taxes.
well, you're paying because of an update. As I understand, I was asked that by Mr. Polowitz, and I chased down on it the other day, and one of the thing was that the update in Valney that they did affected the amount of money that was going to be paid by the town of Granby. We also lost 6% on the equalization rate here in the last year.
Well, is it time for us to adjust ours back or something?
Well, that's what we're into.
Okay.
We're talking. That's what she was. One of the questions we got into. We're not.
Okay.
We don't have. We can't do anything until 1995 anyway, late '95 to make a decision on it. But see, the problem you have is whether you invest a number of $50,000 to do the data update and do your reval, and maybe a 3-year span on it will save the taxpayers $200,000. I mean, that's a judgment's going to be made by the board.
You
But
know,
that's
I
one of
don't
the things
mind
coming up.
paying my percentage of the school taxes. I have children there, and, you know, I
Well,
really
except that-
believe in education, but now they're starting to take away
Yeah.
from the kids. I mean, that
Yeah.
really appalls me.
How'd
Well-
you like to be a senior and have to pay for that?
Well, the problem you have.
Probably wouldn't be happy.
The problem you have is that you're just at the tip of the iceberg because you got other things going to happen, and,
Yeah, I
and the
realize
Fulton
that.
School District's going to be affected next year and the year after.
Yeah, I
So,
know. Okay, and my last thing I guess I want to talk about is this cellular tower. And the reason I want to talk about it is I've had a scurry of phone calls to my home for the last week. People very upset with the fact that if Fulton throws it out, it's coming our way.
who said that?
Oh, I've been on the phone with John Lincoln all day. He's called me.
What?
Okay,
John
wait a
Lincoln
minute.
just wait a minute.
Wait,
John
wait,
Lincoln just
wait.
called her and apologized for what he was doing. He hasn't called me.
He called me after he talked to Rosie.
Well, no, what I'm trying to say is that people can say all kinds of things. Whether or not the cellular phone is going to take and come to Granby or not is an issue that hasn't really
It
been
hasn't,
defined.
but what I want to do, Jim, is I've got lots of information on the cellular tower, I would be willing to share. I would hope you people would want to be educated about this before it comes to us, because I'm sure it will come to us.
Well,
John has sent all of us copies.
Oh no, I've got a lot more information.
but the point,
than John does.
the issue is, the real issue is there gonna be something put in town of Granby?
Well,
I mean,
that
so
I
far,
don't
there's no
know.
application
And
to
I'm not
anybody
trying
doing
to
it.
jump the gun,
Excuse me.
but I realize we'll be hit next though.
Just a minute. Have we got an application for any site for cellular in the town for any?
What's
Thanks.
Challenger Drive? Is that Granby or Fulton?
That's Fulton.
They've got a proposal, the Batavia Avenue one kind of fell through, and now they've got an application.
Well, John also told me that they're not coming to the ZBA
Hasn't started.
meeting
Well.
tomorrow in Fulton. They're not.
They're going to the planning commission next month for the alternative site on Challenger Drive.
And that's Fulton property?
That's Fulton property, though.
And did he talk to you after he called me?
Yes, he did.
I told him, but he told me he
But
apologized.
I mean, what you get into, when you
Well, I
get,
want to tell you what happened and why this is getting observed, is because I got a phone call telling me that John had called Dave Seymour to see if he would lease out his property for this. Because John's trying to find an alternate place for, knowing me, I guess, as you should, I then called John, because I wasn't gonna go by hearsay. I was gonna make sure I got the information from the horse's mouth, and talked to John, and he said, yes, I did. And I said, then why, John, would you want it in Granby when you don't want it in Fulton? And he said, well, it's safer in the country, it's away from people. I'm not happy with that answer, only for the pure fact that if Bologna didn't want it, and if Fulton decides they don't want it, I don't believe that we should take it either, and I just want to let you know that
well, the issue,
it
I
should be something
understand,
you're gonna
but
gonna need to think about.
but you stopped there. But John didn't stop there. John went further. He went to electrical wires. He went to a whole bunch of other stuff. And what you get into all of a sudden, I mean, the letter I got here today, it refers to electromagnetic
Power line,
field.
high power line.
And the problem I got substations in my town, and I got this and that. And some of the substation wires take and feed the city of Fulton. And I don't know what they want to do, but if we really get in a situation here and say we don't want that kind of activity in our town, and we're saying in the city of Fulton, at what risk do we want to shut down the power? Then what about, I got buildings here, I got up there. There's a risk in everything. I don't know exactly how the cellular phone situation is going to come around. I don't know right now. We don't have any application for a site. When the application for the site becomes part of the jurisdiction of the town of Granby, I think the town of Granby will take and do something, whatever it happens to be.
I just hope that you educate yourself prior to this, because it's going to happen.
Well, all I can tell you is that
It's better
the town
to
board,
be prepared than not prepared.
the town board will take and do its job in terms of getting information, no doubt about that. I would just say that if you run down the road, okay, because they're talking about a cellular phone in Fulton, and get into it here without knowing it's going to land here, plus I got the cable commission thing that took a day. I don't know how many other people want to take time, but I mean, you go and you take these different meetings for whatever they are,
I didn't
and
think
try to
you'd
get them
have
together.
meeting. I have information on this
Well, I realize,
that I would gladly pass to all of you if you read it, take the time.
but
In your spare time.
in between working on Columbus Day. Okay, well, I appreciate what you're saying, and I have no problem, but I just want, right now, we have no application for it, and I am concerned about it, but I'm not, I'm going to jump through the hoops
Thank you
if I
that you're
have to.
concerned,
Okay?
because I'm very concerned about
Okay.
it.
Tim?
I believe what Lynn's trying to say here is that,
She's got more than one.
for once, maybe we should take the issue of cellular phones before we're hit with it square in the face, as a zoning issue, and maybe deal with it, and maybe get an amendment in our zoning relating to cellular phones and towers, because this is the 90s, it's gonna happen someday, and it's gonna happen more than once. And before we get hit with this, like the gravel mining incident, let's not wait until we get nailed with the issue to deal with zoning or lack of zoning.
Okay.
Would you think about that? Could we
I
discuss
just-
it maybe
I
at
put
the
a
next
note here
meeting
to
about
take
the
it.
zoning for that?
I just put the note down here, the
Thank
planning board. Anybody else have anything else? If no one else has anything else, I'll take a motion. Oh, Bob?
Hey, while you're on John Lincoln, did you notice he ran an ad in the paper in the Oswego Valley News in regards to school district members getting together at a meeting for this cellular phone. At the last, and I thought that was interesting, because at the last meeting, when I brought up about the school taxes in the town of Granby going up 17%, you know, I mentioned to the board, it'd be interesting to see the board, the town board, making a show at the school board meetings and speaking as a unit for the taxpayers in your town. And you said that there wasn't anything that you could do about this, but I thought that was interesting, that the article that Lincoln had in the paper asking for school district members to go to a meeting in regards to cellular phones.
Sometimes, my personal opinion, no one has to agree with it, obviously, but the point, sometimes when you have the position of an elected official and you get into things that may have some relevance to your situation as a town council person, then when you jump into other areas, what license do you have to do that? I mean, as a council person, being involved with the town, with the city council, deciding whether or not they zone this is one thing. And maybe being concerned of it as a citizen and saying, I want to get all the citizens together to do something, that's something else again. As a council member telling the residents in the school district to come over there, I'm not sure that is a council person's jurisdiction. It's no different than they had a meeting recently in Valney about the impact of cancer in this area, how high volume of cancer you have per population. Well, I don't want anybody from Valney who's got cancer who's going to affect my people from over the bridge. Now that's stupid, but that's exactly what you say. It doesn't make sense. How can a town council take on an issue? Now, if they want to address the issue by saying to pass a resolution to the health department saying there's a concern in my community about cancer, have the health department of the state of New York respond to that, then that's a fair question. But to take and have, to use your position to create...
Are you telling me, Jim, that the town board could not go to a school board meeting and say, as a unit, that 17% increase to my citizens in our town is going to have a real bad impact?
Oh, I can say you can do that, but does the town board carry more weight than us sitting here and saying the town of Granby's budget hearing's done and we're going to increase the taxes in this town 10% or 5% or none? I mean, we have the same obligation to meet the taxpayers' responsibilities in terms of meeting the service they've done, and you set the budget, okay? Now, at a town board going to the school district, okay, and presumably the school district has its own manager.
Representing
It wouldn't hurt, Jim.
Representing the residents of the town.
Jim, it wouldn't hurt.
Like I said the other day, you got 4 school districts. 3 of them have public referendums, okay? And if they have a public referendum on their vote, then where does the town board get in telling the people on the school board that they should not run a budget whatever way it wants?
Well, I think they could voice their opinion on what impact that is going to have, any increase is going to have within that area.
You don't have to say, no, don't do it. You can, exactly what he just said.
What you're saying to me is when they do their budget and they look at the total dollars they're going to have to raise, that they aren't looking what the tax rate's going to be? They know what the tax rate's going to be. They got the equalization rate.
Well, as I mentioned to you before, when they had the school board, the budget review meeting held,
Yep.
they were talking in the neighborhood of 6%.
Yep. Right.
And I assumed as a taxpayer, my school taxes were going to go up 6%. And it turns out to be because of distribution or whatever, town of Granby is 17.33%.
Right. Combination of...
Big difference from 6%.
I agree with you, the difference is there, but the combination of the things that took place to make this, that difference had, we could go and talk all day long, but we wouldn't know it was going to be X number until someday somebody told me that was going to be it. In other words, someone would have to take and say the rate is going to be a 17% increase in town of Granby. They project that? I'm not sure they projected it. Not knowing, I don't know if they had the dollars amounts with the equalization board in front of them as to what they were gonna have, what the rate, the equalization rate is gonna be on the several towns.
Can I ask Bob something?
Yeah.
Bob?
Yeah.
Would you like the school board to come out here and question the way you tax?
If I thought that they had a legitimate right,
They don't have a right, just like we don't have a
no,
right.
you do have a right. You're representing me.
You're right,
You're
he's
representing
exactly right.
I'm telling you that they don't question your taxing procedures.
So would you like all the residents to go to that town board meeting and say that you guys wouldn't do it for us, so we're here in force? I mean, that's exactly, why are you here?
Well, the district,
We
the school
elected you
district,
to represent
no,
us.
no, the school district is no different than a fire district. We have a fire
Are you gonna
district.
be doing anything about the 17.33% increase to the town, the Granby residents, taxpayers?
Only looking at what we've gotta do to take and bring the equalization rate back up. If that's what's gotta be done, that's what we've gotta do. Because 6% of it is equalization rate, okay?
Are you gonna do anything about it?
Yeah, that's, looking at that. But
Yeah, we need a
that still
three-man
won't get,
board.
that still won't get into 1995. Okay? And the impact of that won't be till 96 or 97. So, no, I understand, because just as soon as we're talking about losing equalization rate here, and if the county comes up with an increase, it won't be 6 cents on a thousand, it's gonna be a bigger number than that, and it's gonna affect everybody by a larger dollar. So we have an obligation to take a look and see what we can do to increase our equalization rate to a better status with the rest of the county, if that's what's gotta be done.
Okay, on that note, trying to get our equalization rate higher, getting back to the Board of Assessment Review, has the town board considered anything in regards to the Board of Assessment Review regarding schooling, regarding replacing anybody, filling the empty slots with qualified people?
Well, I've got, okay.
Has the town board decided anything?
Well, we've got 4 applicants for the position, we took and announced them, and I've talked with Mr. Wolf about the training procedure, what circumstances I've got with that. You know, I've tried to take and get the groundwork, so at least when I'm doing the interviewing here, we got someplace we're standing that's firm, and whatever we gotta do to take and increase the education, if that's necessary. I don't know, that's what we'll do. I'm proposing that we get that information.
Well, it's necessary because I'm aware of at least 3 years of history of their actions that
No, but
says something.
No, but I'm saying to you is if that's what is needed, how do we make it happen? Do we take and address the state legislature and say, demand these number of hours of training for these people, just as we do with the other?
Well,
That's
that's
the
what I'm
thing.
asking the town board.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the procedure, we'll get into, yes. I have no problem with them things.
And I know that May of '95 is, you know, 6, 7 months away, and I hate like hell to see another year of assessments being lowered and the equalization rate dropping some more.
Okay, I got 2 or 3 things that, you know, I'm on the resolutions committee for the State Association of Towns, and I got 2 or 3 things I want to put up there. I want to do something about a mining amendment thing to change the time period of notification. That's one. Another thing is try to get the mining out of the zoning thing in terms of regulation, put it where it belongs, some other way, so we don't get into that problem of management. The third thing would be to take what kind of training we got to have for that part of the assessment review board. We just got a thing today that if 2 towns or city or village or whatever join a municipal unit, they can get $10 a parcel on collaboration of their units. So that's the thing we just been informed of, okay? There's a lot of activity that may or may not take place, but the point of it is that some of it has got to be initiated. And if my town board so agrees and lets me have the resolutions that I need to take down there, then we'll have 2 or 3 of them presented to the Association of Towns to put in the January thing to put on the legislature floor.
Can any of the other town members handle some of these responsibilities?
Sure.
I mean, can you delegate or
Yeah.
assign some of these projects? I mean, it seems like you're handling the load all on your shoulders, Jim.
Well, the reality of it is that some of the stuff that's coming, I'm depending on the people out there. I mean, they tell me and I report to my board, but some of the stuff that we've got, that you just got recently, the veterans exemption has been changed, and the other thing is just brand new. And if you're gonna cater to them, you've gotta have your facts and order of direction outlined so you can address it. If you don't, you're not gonna make any headway. So I'm willing to do those things, and my board, I presume, will take and act on it.
Just one more thing. I'm wondering if you could direct something to either your steering committee or but the local law in regards to mobile parks, mobile home parks, ought to be amended to include the current definition of a factory manufactured home park, so that it includes these double wides that are going into them. Right now, our local law does not cover that.
No. Well, I got that part of that thing we talked about last week, and the other thing was permitting. I had Steve take, and I directed him to take it, send a letter to these people to advise them if there's a movement made, the permit has to be issued, and the stuff like that come from last week, or last month's meeting. Okay? Anybody else? I entertain a motion to retire, adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.